Summit and Destiny have met 7 times before. Tonight is number 8.
And the Tennessee Volunteers are the SEC Tournament champions. It's been a long time coming. The last time Tennessee won this tournament was in 1979, but they've got another trophy to put in the trophy case at Thompson-Boling Arena.
The 2023 SEC champions, the Tennessee Volunteers.
Hit high in the air into left field. Stevenson circling in front of the fence into foul ground. He goes into the corner, makes the catch, and that's the ball game.
And the Volunteers will hold the trophy.
How much fun is this, man? God, I love it. High fly, deep right, and Tennessee walks it off.
The 2-2 to Denton.
Well hit, deep left field, it is gone!
For the win for the Volunteers. From 40. On the way, a knuckleball. He got it!
How much fun is this?
Man, Rocky Top, this is college football at its absolute best.
And yet we say it every week. This is college athletics at its absolute best. The rings, the hardware, the hands, they're getting heavy. We'll talk about that here in just a moment. We already got some folks tuning in. He says, Tennessee Football 247, it's great to be a Tennessee Vol. And he's not wrong. I'm your boy, Skylar. Michael, my co-host. How we doing on this championship Sunday?
Man, we feel amazing after that win that Tennessee just got. The week started off a bit rough, but, man, it's been nothing but fantastic ever since then. Been a full week of Tennessee sports, capped off with the Tennessee SEC Tournament Championship today. Skylar, how you doing, my guy?
Dude, we're doing fantastic. Took a quick trip out to Texas to celebrate my sister-in-law graduating, so shout out to her. She made it, and now it's college. I don't know what she's doing. I know she's going to college. I know where she's going to college. I think she's pursuing nursing or something like that. But massive shout out to her. We're back in town. Actually, just got back off the plane. Got to watch the game. There's actually a really cool video that I'm going to be posting on TikTok soon. I'm on this plane, right, coming back to Knoxville, and I'm watching the game on my iPad. And I look up, and the guy next to me is watching it. The guy in front of him is watching it. There's a lady in front of him watching it. And then, just the whole row on the plane. I took my phone out and I just videoed everybody watching the game. And I'm like, yep, we headed back to Knoxville because everybody's supporting. I'm pretty sure American Airlines got their money's worth in Wi-Fi packages on that flight because I swear nobody was missing that game. And I tell you what, it was a tight one. We'll get into it. But, man, we got 3 good segments. Why don't you tell us about it?
So today we're, of course, going to start off with Tennessee baseball and their championship run this week. Segment 2, we're going to hit Tennessee softball. Unfortunately, they're in a weather delay right now. They're also in a little bit of a hole starting off this game, but we'll get into that in segment 2. Segment 3 should be a quick one as we're going to talk about some Tennessee football recruiting as well as Tennessee basketball recruiting. As it was a big weekend on Rocky Top for football, and then a big pickup out of the transfer portal for Tennessee basketball. But without further ado, Skylar, you want to tell about our show sponsor?
Do it. You already see him up here in the right-hand corner, y'all's right-hand corner. But it's Chris Smith Insurance. As a homeowner, Chris Smith was once let down by an insurance company. So he decided to start one of his own where instead of feeling like a big company is fighting against you, you'll know that your agent is fighting for you. All insurance is not equal. Please trust the Chris Smith Insurance. Give him a call at 865-272-3387. I got to give y'all guys a quick story. I currently am going through a bit of a situation where we left on Thursday night and I look up in the ceiling and boom, water spots in my own house. I'm not making this up, dude. I swear to God, this is happening. So I called my boy Chris. I said, yo, this is what's going on. And he's like, well, you're the water expert. And I was like, well, I mean, I get that, but like, like I'm still calling you. And I kid you not, before I even got boarded on the plane, he had already made plans for him and a roofing buddy of his and ours to come out here and tarp up the roof. That is the type of connections you guys need. I'm not in the place, right? I'm on a plane. I can't make any phone calls, but Chris was able to take care of it. That's just something small that he went over and beyond for. And with how much it's rained this last weekend, I'm so thankful that they were able to do that. My brother came by, obviously set up the equipment. We're rocking and rolling now. But Chris being able to take care of that side of things, being able to get the roof tarped while I wasn't even home, that is something that absolutely is going to add value to you and your family when things go south. So make sure you know an agent that can kind of do something of the same sense. And if you don't, give my guy a call. But, man, before we get into segment 1 of baseball, because I feel like that's going to be a pretty decently long segment, why don't you tell the folks who sponsors segment 1?
So our segment 1 sponsor for the show is Optimal Asbestos Services, your trusted environmental consulting firm in Knoxville, Tennessee. State licensed and insured, we specialize in asbestos air quality management for commercial buildings and homes. Contact Jeff Mole at 865-223-3297 or on the web at optimalasbestosservices.com. Now, before we get into segment 1, I did just get a text from my sister asking if we knew when the Tennessee-Alabama game will be back on. I do not at the moment. Do you?
I do not. I can tell you this. When we were flying over Knoxville, the tarp was still on the field. That was as of about an hour ago. I have reason to believe they're playing tonight, but I do not think there has been an estimated timeout yet. I was actually pulling it up before we went live to see it. Like, the bottom right corner of the ESPN app.
Yep.
A lot of times it'll show you. My camera has went out of focus, and that's kind of bothering me. But anyways, I have not seen anything of the likes. Do you by chance have an update on that?
I don't at the moment. I will take a look and we'll try to keep you guys updated as we go along. But let's get right into some Tennessee baseball, as unfortunately we do have to talk about this one. Tennessee Vanderbilt.
Dude, we ain't got to talk about that, dude. Come on, dude.
Tennessee Vanderbilt game 1. This was on Wednesday night as Vanderbilt defeated Florida on Tuesday night to make it into the double elimination rounds. This was a game that Vanderbilt needed more, and you could tell it from the very beginning. And Tennessee just couldn't keep up with Vanderbilt as they beat Tennessee 13-4. What you got?
I don't want to talk about this, so I'm going to go ahead and give you guys the update that y'all are asking for, and that is coverage resumes 7:12 Eastern. 7:12 Eastern, that's literally in like 5 minutes.
5 minutes.
So it'll be on ESPN News. So softball will be playing. We'll be playing here shortly, actually. So y'all be tuned into that. Well, I will probably be tuned into that as we're doing this pod. But, I really don't want to talk about Vanderbilt. So if y'all want to keep asking us questions, I'll definitely keep answering them. All right, go ahead.
We won't talk about this one long. As you can see, Vanderbilt over Tennessee 13-4 to knock Tennessee into the losers bracket. But we had a conversation early in the day before the starting pitcher was announced. Where do we think Tennessee goes? Do they go with their normal rotation, starting A.J. Causey in game 1, or starting Chris Stamos in game 1 and then going straight into A.J. Causey? Do they do a bullpen type game? What do they do? They ended up treating it just like a midweek game, pitching some of their other guys. Nate Snead got to start in this one. Unfortunately, did not have a good outing. There was multiple pitchers thrown in this one as Nate Snead, as I mentioned, started. Andrew Binky saw time, Dylan Loy, Kirby Cannell, A.J. Russell, Marcus Phillips, Matthew Dallas, and then I can never remember his name, something Garcia. I need to look that up. But the only person that saw more than an inning of work was Nate Snead, and he gave up those 5 runs there in the 3rd inning. From the plate, nobody had a great day. I mean, Reese Chapman had the 3-run home run. Blake Burke was 2 for 3 in the game. Let's see, Bracky Laurie was 1 for 1. Let's see, Hunter Ansley 1 for 3, Kavaris Tears 1 for 4, Dean Curley 1 for 2. And other than the Reese Chapman 1 for 3, nobody else got a hit in this game.
JJ Garcia.
JJ Garcia, thank you very much for that.
Yes,
so unfortunate start to the week. But
it's one of those things where I think Tony was trying to check off a lot of boxes, right? As you mentioned, it was kind of like treated like a midweek. And as I was looking here at the box score, man, he really got in almost every arm in the bullpen that you could have gotten in, including some of the well-known names like Kirby Cannell and Dylan Loy and AJ Russell came in. That was the biggest checkbox, right? Is getting AJ Russell in the game, trying to get him back into game mode. But yeah, I mean, there was a couple reasons why I think he did this. I didn't think he was going to experiment in the SEC tournament, but he did in game one, and it actually worked out really well. That's why he's the coach. And he did that so he could check off those boxes early, but then it also didn't disrupt the weekend rotation starting on that Thursday, Friday, Saturday, right? And that's exactly how they treated it. So it's kind of like a double whammy. Putting them in the losers bracket naturally means you get to play a little bit, if you want to say this, not necessarily easier competition, but maybe teams that are not so hot. And Tennessee didn't lose this game because they were necessarily not that hot. It was just the fact that you were throwing a little bit at everybody. It was hard for the defense to really catch rhythm, and offense also. I mean, they had the one big inning, but I think after the fifth inning, it was almost like we took our foot off the pedal a little bit, kind of seeing the writing on the wall, which I hate to say that. But, I do feel like this kind of fed into the game plan for Tony Vitello.
But like I mentioned, Vanderbilt needed this one more too. And they played like they needed it more because
they were tied here 9 in a row, right? And they did beat us once to end the series, right? They got the one in the rubber game or the Saturday match, I think. But yeah, to your point, they were tired of hearing how big of a run we were on, and I think Vanderbilt wanted it more in that case and in the postseason, right? You're talking about they're one of those teams that were on the bubble.
Yeah, that's where I was going because right now, or last I looked, they were projected as a 3 seed in a regional. Vanderbilt's not used to being any lower than a 2 when it comes to a regional. A lot of times they're used to hosting that regional in the opening rounds. So for them to be listed as a 3 seed right now going in, that's almost uncharted territory for a Tim Corbin coach team. So they were looking in this tournament to try to build their resume up to maybe hit that 2 line in somebody's regional. So I think that the way that they ended up playing out this tournament, they've definitely made a case for themselves to do that. We'll see what happens tomorrow when the selection happens.
I think they're in. I think they did enough this week.
I mean, they'll be in. I think it's just a matter of are they a 3 or are they a 2?
Fair enough. A 3 in the SEC is kind of rare, so I would think they'd be a 2. But, hey, who knows? That is definitely something to look out for. But, yeah, Tennessee kind of took one on the mouth right here. Was a little disheartening to see how Nate Snead came out and started. But, then again, he is mostly used out of the bullpen. But this is kind of one of those situations where we're about to come up on tournament ball. You're going to be forced to play more than 3 games in a weekend. And Tony Vitello is trying to see what cards he can pull and who he can play and who he can start where to try to make some things work out. And Nate Snead wasn't the answer here in this game. Now, hopefully, that doesn't mean anything down the road. Maybe that was just some jitters. I don't know. But, you see his record here, 8-2, and that was with this loss. That's counting this loss. He's a really good pitcher. So hopefully that was just, him not feeling his night or something.
Yeah, he's been that guy that, he's going to follow up Xander Sechrist on the Saturday, Sunday game, whichever that is. So a lot of times he ends up getting that decision depending on how well Xander Sechrist starts. But you're right. He's not used to being that number 1 guy starting off. Yeah. So maybe that was a little bit of a shock to the system, got a little nerves in him, Whatever the case, throughout the rest of the week, when he entered the game, he did make up for it. So we'll get to that as we go along. But
look, this was Tony checking off boxes. You're going into the SEC championship. Who have you not gotten in? Who do you need to put in what situation so that when we go to this next game, because I'm tired of looking at this scoreboard. Can we fast forward to the next? Whoa! All right. So when we went to this game, now we're playing like our Thursday/Friday night starter, and we're going in like we're about to go into a 3-game series. And that's exactly how we treated it. And this team really came out blazing. Look, this was kind of a slow start, but that 3, 4th, 5th inning, being able to put one up and then shut them out back-to-back in the 4th and 5th. Kavaris Tears, hello. Get hot, kid. Have a game. And AJ Causey doing what AJ Causey did. But, hey, was it Chris Stamos that started this game?
Chris Stamos was
solid start.
He was fantastic. And I actually texted you and I said, man, why are we leaving him in there a little bit longer? Because he was doing fantastic. Only gave up 1 hit. That was a home run to Texas A&M in the 3rd inning Let me look up who it was real quick. Grahovic, I think is how you say his name. He hit a home run in the third inning. That was the only hit that Stamos gave up. He only had 1 walk, 3 strikeouts. He was pitching fantastic. I almost would have rode him to the end of the 4th and let AJ Causey maybe go through the 8th or possibly even the 9th, depending on how well he did. But it all worked out in the end as Tennessee gets a 7-4 victory over Texas A&M. And one thing we didn't touch on just a minute ago, how about all 4 of the top seeds losing in the first round of the double elimination rounds?
That was wild. Was it not basketball tournament-esque and how that worked out?
Yeah, a little bit.
All the teams going one and done. Like, that was kind of crazy.
Yeah, but I think that all 4 of the top teams played it exactly the way Tennessee did on Wednesday by treating it like a midweek game, trying to get some different arms in and see how they do. So I think all 4 of those top teams played it the exact same way. And then as soon as they got to the Thursday games, it was like, okay, let's put our number 1 out there. Let's treat it like a weekend series. We'll see what happens.
Well, and it kind of works in your favor with it being a double elimination game until the semifinals.
Yes.
That's something I didn't recognize because I was like, won't we have to beat LSU twice today? But like, no, that's not how it works. So guys, it's double elimination until the semifinals, and then it's winner take all at that point. So it does work in your favor. You have a game to play with there in the middle rounds, rounds 2, 3, 4-ish. But once you get to the semifinals, it's back to single elimination, which kind of screws LSU out of the deal a little bit because I believe they didn't lose a game until the championship game.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
But unfortunately, at that point, it's single elimination. So it is what it is. But no, this game right here, this was kind of like it wasn't a super convincing win, but it was a win that you're like, okay, let's get back on rhythm. Let's hit, because now we're going back and now we're getting that day by day grind of what the SEC tournament brings. And was good to beat A&M, solid A&M team. I think they were fourth. They were 4th seed.
So they were a 4 seed, but they were number 1 in the nation for like 3 weeks there in the middle of the season. They got hot in the middle of the season.
But, you're getting big plays from your big players, like Christian Moore going 3 for 5 at the plate with an RBI on a ground ball, fielder's choice there. But Blake Burke with a 1 for 4 day. You had Dylan Dreiling, a 1 for 2 day with an RBI and got walked twice. Hunter Inslee, 1 for 5 day. Kavaris Tears, once again, a 3 for 5 day with a home run, a double, a 4 ribby day. Also scored a run. And then Cal Stark, a 1 for 3 day with an RBI and a run as well. So you got some help from really top to bottom of the lineup. You had some gaps in there, but as we've seen this week, Tony was really playing with the lineup, trying to find out what works best. And I think we got it nailed down there toward the end.
Yeah, I think you're right on that. But before we get into kind of like, I liked what I did last week, kind of doing inning by inning breakdown, like tell what innings were scored, who did what, because I've got that right here. But before I get to that, what I liked most about this win here, we talk about how Tennessee's offense can score in bunches. Look at that scoreboard right there. Tennessee puts up 1 in the 3rd, 1 in the 4th, 1 in the 5th. They did put up 3 in the 7th off that Kavaris Tears 3-run home run, but they won in the 8th. They don't have to score in bunches to win games like we have talked about all year is a little bit of a concern because Tennessee has gone cold at times and not put up any runs. And then all of a sudden, oh, here's a 5 spot in the 5th inning. Here's a 7 spot in the 7th. I mean, you don't have to have that one breakout inning for this Tennessee team. They have proven that they can put up a single run, maybe 2 runs in the inning, and still end up doing that throughout the ball game to get a win.
Well, this is kind of getting back to where we were at the beginning of the season, kind of midweek of the season, where it doesn't matter where we are in a lineup. A lot of teams in this league, they're like, oh my God, we got to get back to the top of the lineup and then hope that we can make something happen. This Tennessee team isn't necessarily like that, guys. I mean, it doesn't matter where we are in the lineup. We have the ability to not just get on base, but hit the long ball. Top to bottom, guys can make something happen. I mean, Cal Stark in this game in the 8th inning went yard. Cal Stark, our 9th hole hitter. And so, I love to see, Dean Curley kind of went in and out of the lineup on this one. But like Dean Curley was one of those guys that were showing a lot of pop in the beginning of the season. It's kind of not really had a lot of home runs here late, but he's still hitting the ball and squaring it up every now and again. But But yeah, this is just a testament to how really consistent our lineup is from the top down.
Yeah, absolutely. So going through the innings here, third inning, Christian Moore scores off of a Dylan Dreiling sac fly to right. In the top of the inning, A&M did hit a solo home run. In the fourth inning, Christian Moore, as you mentioned earlier, had a ground out to first. That it was a bases loaded ground out. So Dean Curley scored off of that, making it 2-1 Tennessee. In the fifth inning, Kavaris Tears doubled to right field, and Dylan Dreiling scored off of it, making it 3-1 Tennessee. A&M did hit another solo home run in the sixth inning, making it 3-2 Tennessee. Kavaris Tears in the bottom of the seventh inning with a 3-run home run as Tennessee goes up 6-2. You get to the eighth inning, and Burton doubled down the line, and Laviolette scored, making it 6-3 Tennessee. And then you mentioned earlier Cal Stark with the solo home run, putting Tennessee up 7-3. And in the top of the ninth inning, Grahovic hits his second home run of the day, but it wasn't enough as Tennessee wins 7-4 in this ball game.
See, what I loved about this spot, right? Now that we've won and now we've kind of asserted ourselves to, I think this kind of put us in the top 5 or 6 now in the tournament, the way the eliminations are working, is it didn't matter who won against Vanderbilt, Mississippi State. If you played the games that you wanted to play, you were facing both of them regardless, the way the bracket worked out. So really, you're sitting there waiting on Vanderbilt, Mississippi State to play. But in the back of my mind, I'm like, well, we're playing both of them, right? Because you got to hope, you got to think that you're going to win against the loser of. And so the winner of gets that day off, and then you prepare to play them the next day. So it didn't matter at that point who won, in my mind at least. And in our case, Vanderbilt ended up winning, and we played Mississippi State. And now you're in the grind of the SEC tournament. And this is where Tennessee kind of picked up some steam. I mean, this is what you live for. You got Drew Bema start. Now, if you're Tony, you're checking off another box, right? Now, this was kind of a tight one. Not going to lie. I mean, putting up a 5 spot really hurt. I think this is, once again, one of those situations where Tony doesn't make the move quick enough. And then we made a wrong move on top of that when we made the move. So it was just one of those things where kind of, one thing led to another. But overall, we squeaked one by against a pretty solid Mississippi State team. And, Blake Burt, have a day. Definitely carried us in this one with a 3-for-3 day home run, ribby, 2 runs. Also got walked twice. What about the work in the bullpen? We didn't mention it last game, but Kirby Connell.
Oh, man.
A guy that we kind of think of as a utility guy that's just been around a while, has a lot of experience, but really has proved to be one of the most important tool pieces in the shed, if you get the reference. But
when you have a guy like Kirby Connell that can come out of the bullpen, and it doesn't matter who it is at the plate, he can come in and he can set down batters. Of course, he does a whole lot better against lefties because he is a lefty, and his stuff is a little bit better to them. But it doesn't matter who it is. Kirby Connell does not get intimidated. Now, does he always have his best stuff? No. Nobody's going to have their best stuff every single time that they come out there. But Kirby, more times than not, has his good stuff. He knows what his role is. And even if it's just facing one batter, like it was in last night's game against Vanderbilt, I believe, or it might have been Mississippi State, one of the two. But he comes in and faces one batter, gets them out, and that's his job. Then they move on to the next guy. But having a guy like that is huge in the bullpen. Well,
I think 2 things. 1, it doesn't matter who's at the plate. And 2, it doesn't matter when in the ballgame. That guy can come in the 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th. Like, it doesn't matter when. The guy can come in a situation and get you out of it or give you innings. Like, I mean, he can stretch it out to 2 to 3 to 4 innings long if needed. But in this situation, this entire week, I mean, the dude got like 4 appearances in the tournament, more appearances than anybody else. And that's because he's just one of those guys, man. I mean, he gets outs. And when you look at him, when he warms up, right, in the bullpen, or whatever you want to call it now with the whole politically correct world we live in, but he's not a guy that's like, wow, he's got some crazy stuff. Like, but he knows how to place the ball. Yeah. And he knows how to get ground balls. And he does make a mistake here or there. He's given up some home runs, sure. But more times than not, like you mentioned, he's on, and he'll get you outs in some tight situations because the moment doesn't bother him too much.
Yep. You're exactly right. So we'll move on to the Thursday night game. Tennessee against Mississippi State. Tennessee, as you can see here, gets the 6-5 victory. And once again, like I mentioned in the last one, they didn't have that big inning, but they put up enough runs in multiple innings to get this win. Drew Beam was fantastic to start this game. Had the no-hitter going through the 5th inning. You mentioned it. He walked a couple of guys, a couple of runs scored. Tennessee did not have any guys in the bullpen, took some time warming them up. So it was one of those moves that Vitello, once he saw the second walk that Drew Beam gave up, it was like, hey, let's go ahead and get some guys out there just in case. They didn't do that. Some more damage happened. But as you can see, 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th innings, Tennessee did take care of business, able to score enough runs to win this game.
Yeah, and thanks to Mississippi State making just that one mistake there I think it was the 8th. Nope, it was the 7th. Had a throwing error in the 7th that kind of allowed Hunter Inslee to get another late score.
Yes.
Those runs mattered big time. And then Blake Burt coming through in the top of the 8th, getting that much needed assurance home run bomb. Blake Burt bomb. Just massive. Good win here. Aside from the 5th inning, just dominant defensive performance from Tennessee that we've kind of had there the last couple of games. And like I said, this is the grind of the SEC tournament. You get a win like this, it makes you feel a lot better because you just feel like you're going to explode at some point offensively. Didn't really, all game long or all week long, didn't really have that big, 12, 13 run game. But this was a win that built character 100%. And Aaron Combs, man, coming in, pitching 2 innings, basically 2 hits, 4 strikeouts, and walked 1. Aaron Combs got a little bit of a pizzazz to him. He's got a little bit of confidence, and he's really starting to work that strikeout pitch, and he's making it work this week.
Yeah, absolutely. As I mentioned, Drew Beam, he had a no-hitter going through 4 innings, got roughed up a little bit in the 5th. He went 4 2/3, only gave up 2 hits. But you see the 5 runs, all of them earned. He did have 2 walks, only 4 strikeouts. I think there was a couple errors in that inning that helped out as well. But Aaron Combs did come in, only gave up 2 hits, had 4 strikeouts, no runs. And then the combination of Andrew Binky, Kirby Cannell, and Nate Snead to finish things off. No runs, no hits from any of those. And I guess this was the game I was talking about. Kirby Cannell came in, pitched against 1 batter, and that was his job, was get that 1 batter out. They go to Nate Snead, and he gets the final 2 outs to just slam the door.
Absolutely. And I believe this was the birth to the semifinals. Am I correct? The game against Vanderbilt. So this is at this point, this was the last double elimination game. Now at this point we were in elimination games the whole way through. Yep. But a team like Vanderbilt, who might have won their way all the way up to the semifinals, again, kind of takes away their ability to lose 2 games, because we made it to the semifinals. It was a rematch against Vanderbilt, and are you going to swap the slide, dude? What are we doing here?
Oh, I didn't realize that we're finished with Mississippi State.
Come on, brother. I'm done with this game. I'm trying to get to the championship game, brother. Golly. We got the win. There it is. That's what I was waiting on. So Tennessee gets the win over Vanderbilt in the rematch. And this one hurt Vanderbilt a little bit. I got to say, look, and it was kind of, to me watching it was kind of enjoyable watching how much it hurt Vanderbilt to lose this game. Michael, what were your first thoughts of this game? SEMO actually doing what SEMO does, but the start by Xander Sechrist, we got to talk about that.
Man, Xander Sechrist, he's been a guy that on game 3, whether it be the Saturday or the Sunday game, he's going to go 2 innings, he's going to go 3 innings maybe, and then they're going to flip it over to Nate Snead to go however long he can before moving over to a Andrew Binky, a Aaron Combs, somebody like that to shut the door. Xander Sechrist, all he did was just go 6 innings. He only gave up 4 hits, 2 runs, had 5 strikeouts, 1 walk. He just did his job. And seeing a guy like that do what he did in the SEC tournament, that gives you a lot of confidence going into the NCAA tournament. But before I get to some more thoughts on this game, I do need to pull this up real quick. It was the it was the Barstool Vandy account on Twitter. After Tennessee beat Mississippi State, they tweet this out. Congrats to Vol Baseball for winning. Even though I thought y'all wanted to skip to the real tournament, I appreciate our free bid to the finals because of how much we own Little Bro. By the way, we beat y'all 9 times in a row. But feel free to bookmark like y'all did last time. It won't matter. How you feeling now, Vandy? How you feeling now? And I tweeted out after that right there, I said, this didn't age well. So
did he call us Little Bro?
He sure did. And hey, I will give him credit on this. After the game, he ends up he tweets out and he says, Volunteer Nation, have at it. I deserve it all. Send me your worst. So
of course he does.
I do have to give him credit for that, but it was a very bad look what he did early in that day.
He was doing that for clicks, but no, no. This is a game where actually I had like 7 heart attacks because we decided to pitch after Xander Seacrest's gem of a game. We throw in what's his name?
Marcus Phillips.
Thank you, Marcus Phillips. And I'll be honest with you, didn't have a bad outing except for like 2 innings. He wanted to scare the crap out of me. And credit to Tony Vitello. This dude walked bases loaded and said, no, I'm going to trust you to get out of this situation. And he did. And I think he did twice. I can't remember.
It was twice.
It felt like, I was going to say, it felt like it was 5 times. But Marcus Phillips in the situation. Now, the dude throws some gas. Like, he got up to 100, I think, twice, maybe even 3 times. But just a little erratic at times. But, man, really, when we really needed it, he came through in a big way. And credit to Tony V for letting him pitch through that because very easily could Vanderbilt gotten a base hit right there and it tied the ball game and maybe even won the ball game. But instead, Marcus Phillips comes up big. The offense comes up big. I think, obviously, Simo went yard there late in the game to really put things away, but it really didn't put things away. At least it didn't feel like it. Simo went 3 for 5 with a run, a home run, 2 RBIs. Blake Burke, a 1 for 3 day. Dylan Dreiling, 1 for 3 day. Billy Amick, and we'll talk about this. Billy Amick didn't really have a tournament to remember until today, and we'll talk about that later. Billy Amick, an 0 for 5 day. Actually, to this point in the tournament, I believe was 0 and...
He was 0 for 17.
0 for 17, thank you. I was about to say 15. Yes, so 0 for 17 at this point in the tournament. Not what you want to see out of your big bat. I mean, out of the 3-hole hitting. But Hunter Inslee had a cool night, 0 for 5, but that's okay because Kavares Tears picked him up, going 2 for 5. Cannon Peoples, your backup catcher who got the start in this game, went 2 for 3 with 2 runs and an RBI. Dalton Bargo, a 1 for 2 night. Ariel Antigua got the start. See, this was the game that we shuffled everything.
Yeah.
And, man, I love Ariel's defensive play, but, man, at the plate, he just looks like he's guessing. And maybe that's just a freshman thing. I don't know because Dean Curley's a freshman, but really hope that he gets some work in this offseason because I think he can be a special player, probably taking over that second base spot after Simo's gone. I don't know. We'll talk about that kind of in the offseason, but I do think he could be a special player on the defense if we can just get something out of him on the offensive side of the ball. But that kind of wraps up your box score as far as who got the hits. Like I said, not really a big offensive night. Put up 2 crooked numbers in the 4th and the 6th to help give the Tennessee Vols the win in the rematch.
Yeah, I want to go back to Marcus Phillips. He needed that one right there because he has struggled throughout the year at times. He was also one that dealt with a little bit of an injury about the same time that A.J. Russell got hurt. So he had to kind of rehab from that and kind of get back into things. He has struggled at times. But to be able to get out of the jams the way that he did, Tony Vitello giving him that trust to get out of those jams, that's huge for him. And I think that we're going to be able to see Marcus Phillips in some situations when we get to the NCAA tournament. So that was big. But going down to the fourth inning is where Tennessee first scored as Dylan Dreiling ended up scoring off of a throwing error that Hunter Ensley reached on. That was another thing is Hunter Ensley didn't get a hit, but I think he reached 2 or 3 times in this game off of throwing errors. So this was one of them that he reached on. Hunter Ensley ended up scoring later in that inning off of a Cannon Peebles sac fly. Fifth inning was when Vanderbilt hit a home run to left field. It was a 2-run home run. The sixth inning, Kavaris Tier scores off of a Dalton Bargo sac fly, and Christian Moore scores later in that inning off of a 2-run home run that also scored Cannon Peebles. Tennessee takes the lead 5-2. We go down to the eighth inning where Blake Burke ends up, let's see, he reached on a wild pitch. Hang on now. Sorry, it was Billy Amick at the plate when a wild pitch happened. Cannon Peebles scored. Bargo advanced to third, and Blake Burke advanced to second. Unfortunately, Billy Amick did strike out swinging to end the inning after that. But that was the key run that you were talking about there for Tennessee off of that wild pitch, giving Tennessee that 6th run. In the bottom of the 8th, Vanderbilt had a sac fly that scored Hewitt, and then in the 9th inning, another sac fly in which Holcomb scored off of it, but Tennessee gets the 6-4 victory off of that.
Who does Vanderbilt fans remind you of? A team that's not so good in football, at least against Tennessee, but a team that maybe has a championship in another sport and holds that over your program because when's the last time you had a natty? What other fan base does that sound like?
I'm going to go out on a limb and say Kentucky.
Nailed it on the head. Are they not like the exact same fan base? Are they not? Like, let's just be honest.
They're pretty close.
They're very close. Like, right? We own them on every field at this point. But yet, because they won a baseball national championship, 8 years ago? With Dansby Swanson? I don't know if it was 8 years ago. Don't hold me to that.
They actually won 2 of them. It was in different years, but they did win 2 national titles.
Okay. Well, credit to them, right?
Yep.
But so now, every time they lose now in the present, they just throw up, oh, no natties. No natties. When's the last time you won a natty? You know, come on, guys. Like, just accept defeat. It's okay. It's okay. We'll take this win, and we'll go out. But, like, I know, kind of nervous because I think we locked up the number 1 seed, and the last time we were the number 1 seed, we lost to Notre Dame, and that was a bad weekend, and I threw some stuff that I'm not proud of. But anyways, this got us into the SEC championship game. And, man, I tell you what, really not happy with the way we finished this game. But we are the 2024 SEC champions. And, man, does it feel good because having that co-champion next to Kentucky, for the regular season, being able to cap that with tournament champions to really solidify the fact that we are the best in the SEC. That feels good, does it not?
It does, but I want to give credit where credit is due. We talked about this when you came on last Sunday. LSU at the end of the season got red hot.
Red hot.
And all they did in
really
this tournament.
One person.
Yeah, absolutely. But all they did in this tournament, because they had to play Tuesday night.
Yep.
All they did was go from the Tuesday night winner go home game to the SEC title game and did not lose a game until today. They had some moments where it was looking pretty grim. They got down 8-0 yesterday against South Carolina and battled back and won the ball game.
I do have some questions about that because I remember their head coach getting thrown out, and I don't understand how he was able to coach today. But maybe I don't understand that. I thought if you got thrown out, you were done for a game. But whatever. Either way, it's a crazy story, the fact they came back and won that game. Yeah,
but it was just fantastic effort from LSU this week, and they're a team to watch in the postseason as well. I would not want to be the number 1 seed that has LSU in their regional. Because we were talking a month ago saying LSU's not even going to make the NCAA tournament. Yeah. And now they're they're locked in.
Oh, yeah, 100%. There'll be a 2 seed somewhere. I I'll tell you why we won this game. The difference is we kept the leadoff batter 0-4 right before Tommy Tanks goes up to bat.
Yep.
If their leadoff batter goes 2-for-4 just to get on base, and then Tommy Tanks comes out, I mean, he hit the ball hard every time he was at the bat, or every time he was at the plate to hit. I think his first at bat smoked one to left field. Now Dylan Dreiling was there and called it, but I mean, if a guy's on base, he might tag up, or at the very least moves him over. I don't know. But then his second at bat, I mean, just freaking same exact location, pretty much gets a double out of it. But luckily, we get the guy in front of him out before that, so nobody scores there again. I mean, holding him to 0 RBI. I mean, that I think solidified or helped us absolutely win this ball game. But man, I got to talk about a couple of things. One, Hunter Inslee, just what a day.
Yeah.
4 for 4 at the plate, a double, an RBI. Billy Amick finally getting his first hit of the tournament, and it is a 3-run shot to take the lead in the third inning. Right after the announcer's like, for this week, he's got to do something, right? And boom, he does. So thank you to the announcer for saying that. We needed that. Wish you would have said it like 3 games ago, but it's all good. And then Dylan Loy coming in relief, but just lasting. AJ Russell only goes the 1 inning. Really afraid that he might have maybe re-hurt the arm. You kind of seen him looking at it, but he went back out to the bullpen, so we don't know for sure what's going on with that. But Dylan Loy coming in and dang near getting you 5 innings in the middle part of that game and just shutting out LSU with 5 strikeouts. He only walks 2. He only gives up 2 hits. As a freshman, what a massive outing against a pretty talented and very hot LSU team. I mean, in the big games, you need a big guy to step up, and that's exactly what happened.
Yeah, and let's talk about it for a minute, because the situation that he came into as well, because AJ Russell got the start in this game, and we were excited because this is what we wanted to see. We wanted to see AJ Russell get back in there. This is the guy that it's like, all right, this is Tennessee's next first rounder that's coming in. He's going to be our number 1. He's dealt with injuries all year long. We hope that he hadn't re-injured the elbow again. It didn't look good whenever he came out because he was holding it again. You mentioned went out to the bullpen. We'll see what comes of that. But Dylan Loy had to kind of get loose there as Tennessee was batting in the top of the second inning. Came out and goes 4 2/3. Fantastic outing. Doesn't give up a single run. Only gives up 2 hits, 2 walks, and has 5 strikeouts. When you can get that from a guy, and I've been high on him all year long, we just hadn't seen him against a big opponent like LSU, and to see him perform the way he did today, that's got to give you a lot of confidence going into the postseason. But I also want to talk about the biggest moment in this game. It was Tennessee in the bottom of the 6th inning, I believe that is. Of course, they're up 3-1. Bases loaded. Kirby Cannell comes in, and let me share this.
This was a called play, and it was so awesome.
Yeah, let me share this.
And it was such a good throw by Cal Stark. Such a good throw.
Yeah, and he's done it all year long. But here's the video.
Primarily the approach.
That was an actual pitch, by the way. Throws it for a strike, and then back picks.
Good pick there, buddy.
Yeah, just
that's a good question.
That was the momentum changer in this game.
How do you get picked off right there, buddy? It is bases loaded situation. Your run doesn't really matter. Like you shouldn't have been 5 feet off the bag. I don't care if somebody's covering or not. It's bases loaded. You can't go anywhere. You ain't stealing second. There's somebody on second. One of those moments where LSU just wasn't paying attention, and we made them pay for it. It was such a good call play. You've seen there's other angles of that replay where you see Blake Burke break for the bag and really catch the runner off. Yes, before the pitch. But what's crazy is he threw a legit curveball. He threw a curveball. Usually, that's a called play, you pitch out. You pitch out, get Cal's momentum going to first. But in this case, he throws a legit curveball for a strike, and then Cal still makes the throw and puts it on the money to where it's so close. Even if they went to review, they couldn't overturn it because it's not clear and inclusive or whatever you want to call it. Just a great play. And like you said, changed the whole momentum because it was 2 outs, bases loaded, and Kirby's coming in facing his first batter.
Yeah.
And they get out of it just like that. That was a massive, massive play, which saved a run, no doubt. And turns out we really needed that. As things got a little tight there in the night.
Hot take on Cal Stark. He will be a minor league player for a long time. Because, all right, he does not have the best bat in the world.
No.
Which is what is going to keep him from maybe working his way up to a major league roster at any point in his career. But because of his defense and, just the strides that he's taken from last season to this season, Cal Stark is going to get signed somewhere, and he is going to be a minor league starting catcher for a very long time and be very successful.
I think he's got to do something on the offense, but I do think it needs to be stated how much of an improvement. I mean, as far as year-to-year improvement, you got Blake Burke at the top, right? Because, his defensive play has been extraordinary this year.
But right behind him has got to be Cal Stark.
It's got to be Cal Stark. His play behind the plate, taking on that leadership role when he realized that his position was about to get taken from him by Cannon Peoples after the spring or the winter, whatever you want to call it, before the season starts, and how we're hearing all about Cannon Peoples and how he's came on and was just knocking the ball out of the park left and right. But, at the beginning of the season, Cannon Peoples kind of went cold, and Cal Stark stepped up and really kind of took over, as he should. He's a senior on the team. It's good to see that. But what about some, like I said, man, some low-name heroes? And we're talking Hunter Ensley with just the absolute hot day at the plate, going 4 for 4. In a game where your bottom 4 guys in your lineup go 0 for 4, 0 for 4, 0 for 3, 0 for 3. Thank you, Hunter Ensley, because you really helped balance that out, right? In a game where we really needed every little run that we could get. And that run in the 7th, man, proved to be monumental. And they get to hoist that trophy now because of it.
Yeah, you look down the lineup. Christian Moore, 1 hit on the day. He was 1 for 5. Blake Burke, 2 for 4. He had himself a good day. Billy Amick, 1 for 4. Did have the 3-run home run, which was just massive. Dylan Dreiling, 0 for 5. You mentioned Hunter Ensley, 4 for 4. Kavarius Tears, and let me say this as well. All right, Dylan Dreiling, 0 for 5, 2 strikeouts. Kavarius Tears, 0 for 4 with 4 strikeouts. He has a day to
not a good day.
Not a good day to remember against Texas A&M just a couple days ago.
Where he was poking the ball, like every single hit he had in that game was over 100 miles per hour off the bat.
Yeah,
he was seeing a beach ball up there.
And today I don't even know if he touched the ball. Did he even foul one off?
I think he fouled several off, but it just overall couldn't put anything in play.
Yeah, Dean Curley, 0 for 4, 2 strikeouts. Cannon Peebles, 0 for 3, 3 strikeouts. He did get on base with a walk. Cal Stark, 0 for 3. He didn't strike out, but he was 0 for 3. He also got on base via the walk. So, you only had 4 guys in your lineup that got a hit, and luckily Hunter Ensley had 4 of them today. I think with this team, obviously you want Christian Moore coming to the plate whenever he can. Yeah. Blake Burke, you want him coming to the plate whenever he can. Dylan Dreiling would be my 3rd guy I want coming to the plate. 4th guy, give me Hunter Ensley. Because in the big moments, he seems to always come up with a big hit. So, you got other guys like Billy Amick, like Kavarius Tears, that you would probably rather have at the plate because of what they can do with it. But to just get a hit, put the ball in play, give me Hunter Ensley behind those.
I think you're onto something there, because Hunter Ensley's not the guy you're expecting to go yard. Now, he can, but that's not exactly what you're expecting from him. He's one of those guys that just puts the ball in play, and when you put the ball in play, good things happen. And that's exactly what he did today. With a 4 for 4 day with a double and RBI. He never really left the yard. He's not that type of hitter, but now he's done it. I think he's done it 9 times this season. But that's just not necessarily his game. But no, I think you're onto something there. As far as just getting a base hit, maybe getting a runner over or scoring somebody from second base. Yeah, Hunter Ensley is one of those guys that might come up clutch in the big moment.
Yeah, Hunter Ensley has hit 8 home runs this year, But you mentioned it. He's not the guy that's going to come up there and get a home run, but just to put the ball in play. Give me Hunter Ensley as my my top 4 guy that you want coming up to the plate. You've got a guy like Christian Moore that's got 28 home runs on the year. Love to have him up at the plate. Blake Burke, Dylan Dreiling, both of them have 17 home runs on the year. Love to have them up at the plate because all 3 of those guys come up with big hits in the big moments.
Yeah.
But give me Hunter Ensley even before you give me a Kavares Tears or a Billy Amick.
Whoa, easy there, big fella. Kavares Tears and Dylan Dreiling. Dylan Dreiling's on one.
To get your big hit, though, I feel like Hunter Ensley, to put the ball in play and make things happen, I would put him above Kavares right now.
No shot, dude. Think about the Vanderbilt games last year. As freshmen, they hit solo shots to get you back in that game and win the game as freshmen. Come on now. Come on. It's all right. It's okay. You overstep sometimes. It's okay. It's all right. No, I'm joking.
I'm just thinking about, there have been some bigger moments this year that it feels like Hunter Ensley has gotten that big hit over a Kavares Tears or a Billy Amick.
Okay.
That's all I'm saying.
Definitely more than last year. Hunter Ensley was he
was a liability at times last year.
I was trying to think of that word. I'm like, he was not good at the plate last year. But this year he's really turned it around. And really tried to stop, going over in a game. That's like a big no-no, right? Hunter Ensley's not had that many games going over, and that's why you see him slotted right there 5th, 6th in the lineup now, working there in between Dylan Dreiling and Kavares Tears because of that. But no, he's doing great. He had a great ball game, and I guess in closing marks, man, Tony Vitello is able to look back in this tournament and realize that he checked every box that he needed to do in the pregame going into this tournament. Now, on top of that, he's going into the postseason realizing that he's got not necessarily a new pitcher out of the bullpen that he can fully trust, but definitely a hot one in Dylan Loy coming out of this game. I mean, how do you not trust him pretty much in any situation at this point, the way he handled the LSU lineup?
And I'm going to say 2 guys, because I think the way that Marcus Phillips was able to work his way out of that jam. Thanks.
Look. You're overstepping just a little bit, brother.
I know he got into those situations.
By himself. He walked folks to get into those situations.
But did he get out of those situations?
He put himself in those situations, though.
He also got out of those situations because Vitello let him. So, yeah.
I'd rather just not be in the situation, I guess is what I'm trying to get at.
I agree. But I've got to give credit to the Tennessee pitcher staff today again 100%. Because we mentioned A.J. Russell. He gave up the home run in the first, which, by the way, was a massive moonshot. 471.
I said, damn.
It left the bat, and I was like, whew. Oh, man.
Oh, yeah. But the ball's still in the air, actually. It's
Dylan Loy, fantastic performance coming after that. Andrew Binky got roughed up. He didn't record an out, walked 2 guys, but Kirby Cannell. We can't say enough about this guy. No. He comes in, pitches 2 2/3. He does give up 1 run, but he does his job. And Aaron Combs coming out of the bullpen, getting the save, getting those 2 outs, 2 big strikeouts to finish things off. Tennessee is getting hot at the right time.
Yeah, I was going to say it's kind of crazy to see how good the pitching was on this championship Sunday when both these teams have played 5, or I think this was their 5th game of the tournament. And to still see how competitive the pitching was, that was pretty cool to see for both teams. You got to think of it like LSU, it hurts because you didn't win this, but also think if you're LSU, did you really think you were going to win the championship going into this week? Because, I mean, I know you got hot at the end of the season, but as a fan, of course, you're like, yes, that's why we're in the tournament. But, like, preseason expectations when you were 3-10 or 3-12, whatever you were to start the season, nobody thought they were winning this. And I've got friends that are LSU fans that I talk to every day, and they even knew that, like, hey, this year's not our year. We sold our soul to win it last year. But now look at them, dude. You have to go into this saying, hey, we got a solid bullpen that we can go 4 or 5 games strong at a regional, at a super regional, which super regional is only 3 games long. But, LSU finding their ways. They're explosive as crap on the offense, and now they're finding their way on the defense with the pitching. LSU could be a team to look out for down the road, 100%. I hope they are not in our regional.
I totally agree. That is a team that, I mentioned it earlier. If you're a number 1 seed, you don't want to see LSU's name in your regional.
No. Not even close. So, no, hats off to the SEC champions, regular season and tournament. For the second time in 3 years, your Tennessee Volunteers, Tony Vitello's got that team rolling. And that's how we said at the beginning of the season. I mean, we knew what the expectations were, and it's kind of cool to see it come to fruition. But, hey, you can't – the ultimate goal is still out there. You've got to make it to the World Series and go after that natty. And don't want the players to think that the job is done, and I know they won't think that. I kind of think this was kind of like a chalkboard type of tournament for them. I know some games were close, but as far as the game plan, I feel like it went the exact way Tony Vitello wanted it to.
Yeah, I agree. And then Tennessee will find out who is in their regional tomorrow. That is when they're doing the selection show. Tennessee will play at some point on Friday. We won't know the times until after the selection, but games will be at Lindsey Nelson Stadium Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Tennessee will play the 4 seed in the tournament. We expect after this weekend, Tennessee will be the number 1 overall seed.
100%. So, they won the SEC tournament. There's no way they're not going in as the number 1 seed. As I know, the RPI didn't have them number 1, but now that you won the tournament, there's no shot that they're not the number 1 overall seed.
Yeah, so Tennessee should be the number 1 overall seed. As I mentioned, Noah played the number 4 seed. We'll see who the 2 and 3 seeds are as well, but games will be the 2 and 3 seed and the number 1 and 4 seed playing on Friday. Winners will play the early game on Saturday, with the losers playing the game to follow, and then there will be an elimination game that night, I believe. Yes, it'll be that night, and then on Sunday you will have the first game of the 2-0 team versus the 2-1 team, and then an if needed to follow, and that is all weather permitting. But of course, Tennessee having a turf field, it is a lot easier to get games in.
Tennessee is hosting that son of a gun, and Vol Nation, I know you will, but got to show up. There shouldn't even be standing room. All right. This is what it's all about. We should be hosting this. If we can win it, we'll be hosting the Supers. Vol Nation, for the next 2 weeks, y'all show out to the dang thing, and really put on for the team. I want to see a record 5,000 attendance. I think it's definitely doable, and I think our athletic director is going to put up some temporary seating to make it available. So definitely show up to that. It's going to be fun. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, we want Lindsey Nelson to be rocking the way it was a couple years ago with the Drew Gilbert moonshot. That's
viewing parties, left and right on every street. Yeah, make it happen, Vol Nation. I know we can.
Yeah, so we knew that this was going to be a long one, had a lot of games to talk about in segment 1. But let's move on to segment 2. We're going to talk about some Tennessee softball. And Skylar, you want to tell us who our segment 2 sponsor is?
Yeah, absolutely. Segment 2 sponsors P&L Business Services. We know firsthand that getting your monthly reporting, invoicing, bill pay, and taxes and other essential business services right is critical. That's why at P&L Business Services, we go beyond bookkeeping by providing you with everything you need in your back office so that you can have your time back and the peace of mind to do what you love most, which is building your business. Behind every successful business is a great bookkeeper. If you guys need help with any of these services, y'all reach out by going to pnlbusinessservices.com, and they got everything there for you to get situated, get suited up, and to maybe even give them a phone call to get to know who they are and to take care of your business firsthand. Thank you, P&L, for your continued support of segment 2. Before we get into this, got to give a pretty harsh update. We are in the top of the 4th now. Tennessee is still trailing Alabama 0-4, and Tennessee's only got 1 hit in the ballgame. So not looking too solid. Tennessee's going to have to do something. Carlin Pickens is on the mound. You kind of thought that was going to happen at some point, but she has now taken over. She's going to shut him down. I have to believe that. But we got something that I texted you yesterday. Our offense is just dissipated. Just nowhere to be found. You got to score to win, and I get that, but giving up a grand slam in the first inning was kind of, for me, I knew it type moment. Yeah, yesterday, and we'll talk about these games, but yesterday, I just want to get this off my chest. We had so many chances to win and to put Alabama away, and we didn't do that. I am not surprised at all if we lose today and not even make it to the College World Series.
Yeah, it's not looking good. But let's start off with the Friday night game.
Yeah, let's talk about it.
Tennessee does get the win in this one, 3-2. It was not pretty, but Tennessee got it done. And I just got to say, man, I believe it's Kayla White. I think that's her name at the top of the lineup. Get her out of here. Man, she is just tearing Tennessee up. And it's not that she's a power hitter, man. She's a slap hitter that she can put the ball where she needs to. And then I have never seen a player be able to bunt successfully the way that she does, because she is somehow able to hit it like off the end of the bat where it's got the perfect spin to just die right in front of the plate. And then her speed, it's almost impossible to get her out. I mean, I hadn't looked up the stats, but I think she is hitting like 600 this season against Tennessee. Yeah. She's constantly getting on base, and she's the ignition for this Alabama team. And she was making Tennessee's life havoc in the first few innings. Luckily, Tennessee's defense, after struggling to start, they locked down. The offense came alive in the fifth to end up getting this win, but it wasn't easy for Tennessee.
No, look at the box score down here. 3 hits.
Yeah.
I mean, Laura Mueller's homer was really it. I mean, it was massive. It got us the win, absolutely. But once again, you're in a series where you have to win. Like, I don't know why we're sleeping on this and just haven't seen that spark in the offense. And on top of that, we've had a lot of errors and something we're going to talk about, but it's really more of the second game. We have got to stop giving away free bases. Mm-hmm. As good as our pitching has been, as dominant as it's been, man, we are walking and hitting a lot of batters in this series.
And it's something that we hadn't seen most of the season. I mean, in this one, Carlin Pickens only had 1 walk, but she also had to hit by pitch. Let's see. Gottschall didn't have any walks. I don't know about hit by pitches exactly.
She had about 17 the next day. Don't worry.
Yeah, I mean, it was a bunch of walks and hit by pitches in yesterday's contest. But, going down through here, Boo Gibson was 1 for 3 in the game. Zeta Pooney 1 for 3. And then you mentioned Laura Mueller 1 for 2 with the big 2-run home run. That was it for the Tennessee offense. And all of that happened in the 5th.
Yeah, that was it. Just a complete lack of offense. I mean, your big names are not getting the hits either. I mean, you had Boo Gibson and Zeta Pooney getting a hit, but Kiki Malloy, Taylor Pannell, who was very hot, has now gone ice cold. Riley West got a run score because she got walked, but even she had an 0 for 2 day, and Sophia Nugent 0 for 2 day. Destiny Rodriguez, who's become one of the home run hitters, she was the home run in the World Series, I think, or maybe the Supers that got us to the World Series last year. That came up big, and she had an 0 for day. I mean, just nobody putting a bat to the ball in this other than Laura Mueller on that, what ended up being the game-winning hit and home run which was big, right? I mean, it doesn't matter how you win. It matters that you win. Yep. It matters that you survive and advance. And that's what they did in game 1. And, Vol Nation was there. It was ugly, but they were there and supporting to get us to game 2. You have anything in closing in this one? Okay. Game 2, once again, this one, if y'all watched it, was just an absolute long
box score.
Yeah, it was a long game, dude. And shout out to the pitching. It was insane. But I also have a hard time talking about this game because in like the 8th, 9th, 11th, 12th, we had every chance in the world to get a run across. And we couldn't get it done. And then Alabama eventually, in the bottom of the 14th inning of a 4-hour-long game, wins it in walk-off fashion on like a ground ball, bases-loaded situation where we just couldn't get the ball fast enough to get it to home plate. Kind of sucks. Very sour way to end it. They actually got bases loaded, 0 outs. I mean, they won the game pretty much easily. They would have scored multiple runs in that inning. But, it's a tough one. It's a tough one.
And you mentioned this was the game that Tennessee had to win it because you see there in the box score, you got 11 hits. So you got the hits that you needed. I mean, Kiki Malloy, 3 for 5 on the day. She had herself a fantastic day. Now, all of those were infield hits, but she got on base.
You got 11 hits in a 14-inning game. You got to remember that. But secondly, there was a lot of innings there where we post up a goose egg, but we had leadoff hits. We had multiple leadoff hits where we'd have first and second, 2 people get hits, right? And then we would go strike out, pop out.
Tennessee left.
So frustrating. Tennessee
Tennessee left 8 18 runners on base in this game.
18 runners on base. That is insane. I didn't hear that. 18 runners lefted, stranded. You only scored 2 in the ball game. I mean,
I know.
And Alabama made mistakes too. That's what sucks. Like Alabama didn't play a perfect game, because at that point you just tip the cap and play the next game. That's not what happened. Like they did not play a perfect game. They made some base running errors. We capitalized on that. We made some great outfield plays, threw some people out at third and second. Like great defensive play, but man, just so many opportunities that we busted and didn't take advantage of. And I texted you right after the game, and I kid you not, I'm not saying this because I know we're losing right now. I texted you after the game and said I don't think we make it to the College World Series.
Yeah, and it's not looking good right now based on what's happening in Game 3. But, 18 runners left on base, and Kiki Malloy was the only person in the game that had multiple hits. She was 3 for 5. You go down the box score here. Taylor Pannell, 1 for 7. Boo Gibson, 1 for 7. Zeta Pooney, 1 for 5. She did get walked once. Let's see. Riley West, 1 for 6. Sophia Nugent, 1 for 6. She did have a big solo home run in the 4th inning of this game, I believe. Destiny Rodriguez, 1 for 3 in the game. Bella Fall, who came in for Destiny Rodriguez, 0 for 2. Julia Kasoyanopoulos, 1 for 5. Laura Mealer, 1 for 6 in the game. And you're not going to win ball games whenever you don't get runs across the plate. And I know for sure once, I kind of think it happened twice in this ball game. You had bases loaded with 1 out, and you don't get a run across. That's some of the opportunities that you're talking about that Tennessee had in this ball game, and they did not take advantage of.
Yeah, just can't happen. I don't want anything that Carlin Pickens did to get overshadowed because she did pitch 9 1/3, only gave up 5 hits, 10 strikeouts. In a relief effort, she did hit 3 batters, which was very frustrating because I think Peyton Gottschall hit a batter or 2 as well.
Gottschall hit 1 batter. She didn't walk anybody, but she hit a batter. Pickens walked 3 as well as hit 3.
Really, for Gottschall, they were just on her. They were on her early, and hitting it hard. Like I think there was a ball that was hit off the top of the wall in this game. They were just really on top of Gottschall's stuff, and Gottschall just wasn't throwing her best. I guess maybe she wasn't hitting her spots. Carlin Pickens came in and did exactly what she's always done all year. It's just so frustrating that our offense can't help them out. Our pitching cannot win games. At the end of the day, you have to score to win the game. And that's something we just couldn't do from inning 5 to 14.
Does this not almost feel Tennessee baseball 2022-esque? You have but Alabama's a solid team. It's not like Notre Dame kind of came out of nowhere. Alabama's a solid team, and this is such a big rivalry. I have a hard time comparing the two, but it is. Lady Vols is, I think, one of the best teams in softball. Yes,
and they are very much on the verge of not even making it to where do they go? It's not Omaha.
Oklahoma City.
Oklahoma City. I knew that. They're on the verge of not even going to Oklahoma City, and man, would every team there love that.
Yeah, absolutely. But all right, let's have this discussion because I love to be a positive guy. I'm positive that Tennessee can come back and win this game, even though they're down 4-0. But with the way the offense has been playing, it's not looking hot. So let's have this discussion real quick. If Tennessee loses this game, how do you rate this season? Because I'm going to do it like basketball. All right. The regular season, absolute success for Tennessee softball because you literally won every single SEC series this year. You won the SEC regular season. In that case, it's a success. When it comes to the postseason, if you don't make the Women's College World Series, and for this team, if you don't make the Final Four, this season's a failure, in my opinion.
I agree, especially with him going 1 and done in the SEC tournament.
Yeah.
You can't go 1 and done in the SEC tournament and then not even contend for the title. Because then what was it for? Look at Kentucky's basketball team. They did that exact thing. They literally went 1 and done in the SEC tournament, and they're like, well, we're focusing on the big tournament. And they go 1 and done in that one. Like, okay, you literally did nothing Your season at that point's wasted. And that's kind of how I feel like. I don't want to say wasted. That's a harsh word because they did win the SEC regular season championship. But then you proceed to go one and done in the SEC tournament. You then sweep and shut out your opponents in the regional. But now you can't keep Alabama off the scoreboard and very much on the verge of losing to Alabama in a game of 3 series in which you won the series earlier in the season. But, yeah, I mean, as far as where I have to rank it, it's still a great season. But I think it's definitely one Karen Weekly is going to wish she had back because you're losing a lot of this talent on this team. And so not really familiar with what she's doing in the recruiting show and what plans she has to do in NIL world. But definitely a one that got away because baseball, softball this season was very much the same goals in mind, and that was the Natty. I mean, that ultimately it is getting to the national championship game.
Yeah, and this game is not over. Things can change, but with the way the offense has been playing, oh my word! And
yeah, it's just not
I'm
going
watching
their way.
the game. I'm watching the game as we're doing this, and just absolute shot right there from Riley West. Line drive would have been a base hit against almost anybody. Alabama's second baseman just reaches up and snags it. That's the type of series that Tennessee is in right now. It's not looking good.
Alabama's, they are capitalizing on the mistakes. Look, this first inning, if y'all got to catch it, we walked bases loaded. We gave up a hit, and then I'm pretty sure we walked the next 2 to get bases loaded, and then very next batter, boom, grand salami. And that's been the game so far. And, we just can't get somebody on base. It's insane. I think we have 1 hit in the game right now. We just cannot get anybody on base. And now there's 2 down in, I believe, what is the top of the 5th? I think we're the away team, are we not? Or are we the home team?
We're the home team. It's the bottom of the 4th.
So bottom of the 4th. Okay, bottom of. Sorry, it's Tennessee that was the away team. That was throwing me off. The last 3 or 4 games we were the away team, and I didn't understand why with us being the 1 seed. But I guess it's because we were in the losers bracket.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's because we were in the losers bracket, and same thing with today. The only reason that we were the away team is because LSU was undefeated going in, and Tennessee did have 1 loss in the tournament, so that threw things off. But we mentioned Tennessee baseball took care of business. Really hope that softball does, but it's not looking good. But do you have anything else on softball before we move on to our 3rd segment?
Boo Gibson just got the second hit of the game with 2 outs. So we finally have somebody on base. If we could just make some magic happen, we'll be definitely tuned into that. But no, let's move on to the 3rd segment of the day.
All right, so our 3rd segment sponsor is Kaizen Painting. Do you want a colorful life? Kaizen is a painting and drywall company that provides residential, commercial, exterior, and interior services. At Kaizen Painting, we understand the importance of a beautifully painted home and properly installed and repaired drywall. We're here to bring your vision to life. We care about providing you with a personalized, efficient, and quality service. If you live in Knoxville and surroundings, contact us for a free estimate at kaizenpainting.com. Color your life the Kaizen way. So we appreciate you, Kaizen Painting, for being our 3rd segment sponsor. And we teased it earlier at the beginning. Tennessee had a massive weekend recruiting for basketball and for football. Let's do basketball first because I kind of teased this last week. We've been talking about it for a little while. Rick Barnes has been hitting the transfer portal hard. This guy right here has been the what would you say, the focal point for a lot of Tennessee fans?
100%. The guy. Like, you go into the offseason and you're like, who's that big turn the heads type of player? We landed him. Got him. Big competition between us, Kentucky, and then I think Notre Dame or something.
BYU.
BYU, thank you. But we got him. It's Chaz Lanier, the North Florida transfer. This guy shot about 44 to 45% from the 3-point line and averaged about 20 points per game. This guy is going to be our offensive standout. Now it's up to Rick Barnes to really coach him up defensively to make sure he's not a liability on that side of the ball. But yeah, our offense is absolutely going to run through ZZ and this guy right here to get some points on the board.
Yeah, and when you combine him with Igor Milicic as well as Darlington DeBar, you're looking at 3 guys that shot 40% and above from the 3-point line this past year. And then you've got oh man, I can't think of his name right now. The guy from Ohio State that came in. But he averages 65% from the field, I believe. Now he is a center that just plays around the basket, but a guy that is close to 70% from the field, that gives you a guy that you need that can put the ball in the basket. And that is exactly what Rick Barnes targeted in the portal this year, was guys that can put the ball in the basket. As I mentioned, those three guys, they shoot over 40% from the three-point line. They shoot over 60% from around the basket. The post player, I'm going to look it up right now, his name. But he shoots like 65% from around the basket. So that is exactly what Tennessee was targeting in the portal this year.
Yeah, I mean, while you're looking that up, I mean, just what the job that Rick Barnes has done in the transfer portal. Just completely. I mean, we were talking about this maybe a month or two ago. Like, man, what are we doing? Like, we're losing a lot of kids, and obviously, you lose your two really big contributors in DK and Triple J, and you're like, okay, what do we have coming up? And obviously, we had some good young players, but really just. You needed more depth, right? Like, there's no way we could just fill the roles that we were losing. But then you look at what Rick Barnes has done in the transfer portal, and we brought in, I think, five now? Five from the portal? Or
four. It's Felix Okpara is the guy I was thinking of. Then you got Igor Milichik, Darlin Stone DeBar, and then Chaz Lanier.
But I also think we picked up a recruit out of the high school ranks, too. That's a pretty big recruit. Can't think of his name at the top of my mind. But, no, what Rick Barnes has done in the portal shows me that he's not done anytime soon. I know that was kind of one of those topics that I think you brought up not too long ago. Is like, hey, was this Rick Barnes' last push? He made it to the Elite Eight. Should he call it quits? I don't think Rick Barnes is even close to thinking about that with the moves that he's made this offseason.
Yeah, and you're right. Dwayne Brown is that was the 2025. I need to go back to 2024 because you're right. There is a guy coming in from the 2024 class. Bishop Boswell, actually a combo guard. Another guard coming in.
Yeah. Just made some really big moves, big splashes, especially with landing this latest one. I'm telling you, winning Chaz Lanier over Kentucky's big. Not giving Kentucky any more momentum than what they have, supposedly under this new head coach. No, big win for Rick Barnes and the boys in orange.
Yeah, and that just shows that there's still guys that want to be developed over having that big bag, because the decision was going to come down to if Chaz Lanier wanted money, he was going to Kentucky. If he wanted to continue to be developed and get prepared for the NBA, he was going to Tennessee. BYU was almost an afterthought. It was between Tennessee and Kentucky. And he decided he wanted to be better developed going into the pros, and he chose Tennessee. So big pickup for Tennessee. But the weekend doesn't stop there, as Tennessee football has some huge names on campus this weekend. David Sanders, 5-star offensive tackle, is in town this weekend. The number 2, I think number 2 overall player.
Yeah, he's overall number 1 offensive tackle.
Yeah, in the class of 2025. He is in town.
I don't want to put it, too lightly. We need him.
Yes,
absolutely need him. This would be a massive get for Josh Heupel.
Yeah, massive get for him if we get David Sanders. George McIntyre in town. Of course, he is already committed to Tennessee. 5-star wide receiver Jamie French is in town.
That would be nice to have.
Yes, it definitely would. 4-star safety Lagonza Hayward is in town. Interior offensive lineman Nick Moore is in town. He's a 4-star. 4-star corner Onis Conan Bainey, I think is how you say his name, is in town. And then 3-star corner Timothy Merritt is in town this weekend.
I know Lagonza hasn't committed yet, but there's been a lot of rumors around him coming to Tennessee. Kind of the same thing with David Sanders. And I think we just got to look at what George McIntyre has actually done for us as a recruiter. I think he's doing probably one of the best jobs out of all the quarterback commits we've had lately, including Nico. I think Nico had a hard time just because of where he's from. It's not even close to Tennessee, right? So it's kind of hard to convince some kids to come from, the Bronx or, California all the way to Tennessee, whereas, George McIntyre's right here. He's able to recruit close to the school and pull in some of these big-time recruits, and I think he's doing a great job. I do think David really loves the University of Tennessee. I think Laganza does too, and I'm telling you, a 4-star safety and almost a top 100 player nationally, that would be a massive get for the Tim Banks crew in that secondary.
Yeah, absolutely. And Tennessee did get a commitment from this past week. A 3-star offensive lineman, Antoni Agamoro. He is from Oklahoma. He is a Samoan kid, 6'4", 320.
Hey, and I think rates as a 3-star.
But he is trending up.
Oh, 100%. I think he's like numerically an 89 rated player. That kid's probably going to be a 4-star after all the combines this year. No doubt about it. So good on our recruiters for evaluating that and getting this kid in the boat quickly, because as he rises up the ranks, he's going to be getting more and more phone calls. So I love that we got him in the boat now while we did.
Yeah, and, listening to the Eric Ainge show this past week, Eric has watched some of his film and broke it down. The thing that he absolutely loves about Antoni is a lot of these high school kids, they're just bigger than everybody else. Yeah. So when you look at them on the field, they don't, get underneath their pads and move guys out of the way. This guy does that. And when you've got a guy that can do that along with being coachable, that's a guy that can do what you need him to do. And with him trending up the way he is, it might not look big on paper, but I think this is a massive get for Tennessee's program.
Oh, it is. Anybody on the line, anybody on the offensive line is a big get, especially with that highly rated of a 3-star. I know people are going to look at 3-star and be like, yeah, no. Guys, you got to look at the film, look at the body stature and what they are able to do with it, and then just kind of have some trust in our coaching staff to develop that. I have no reason to believe that we can't. And so until then, I'm gonna believe in this coaching staff.
Yeah, because let's have this conversation for a second. What is the one position that you would say that you would have maybe some concerns with this coaching staff because of the production that has come out of the guys that have been recruited? What is the one position group that you have concern at? That I kind of
hold up. One position I have concern of from production, it's honestly, it's okay. I know where we're going with this, but I think experience and experience is the best word. I guess maybe an age. They've been kind of bailed out because our offensive line has kind of been older. But honestly, the younger guys, they have not done a good job of getting them on the field and getting them developed. So I'm actually going to go with the offensive line. We need some younger guys to kind of come through, but we've been bailed out by some transfers, some older guys, and Cooper May staying for 5 years. They've kind of been bailed out and kind of using those older guys to kind of help them out a little bit. But, like Addison Nichols, who I think transferred out, some of these younger guys who hasn't really been able to get on the field much or really develop their game. That's kind of been a red flag for me. I don't know what direction you're wanting to go with.
That's the exact direction I was going, is the offensive line. Because, yes, you've been bailed out by experience up at the top. You've also gone into the transfer portal and gotten some experienced guys. So that red flag for me was, okay, is it the guys that you have brought in not developing the way that you wanted them? Is it the coaching staff maybe not getting those guys developed the way that you want them? What exactly is that there that you're going to the transfer portal and getting these experienced guys? Because don't get me wrong, being able to go to the transfer portal and get some of those guys out is huge for Tennessee, but your backbone is also going to be getting those recruits out of high school and developing them as well, and then fill in the holes where you need them through the transfer portal. So that has been the red flag for me, is the offensive line. So if Tennessee can start getting some of these guys in here and be able to develop them, some of the young guys, I think that is all that I need to see from Josh Heupel to know, hey, we're totally fine. I think we're totally fine anyway under Heupel because of what he has done. But I want to see that your offensive line recruits come in and develop and be those guys to step up and not have to go to the transfer portal every single year for offensive linemen.
Well, yeah, that's why I was thinking, because, like, honestly, our recruiting classes from the high school ranks have not been the strongest on the offensive line. I think that's honestly got the most to do with it, is they're just not able to do much with them because they're not really the kids you need in the SEC ranks.
That's fair.
They're a little bit smaller, which, Josh Heupel's system, you're like, okay, maybe we can deal with that. We can work with that. But, overall, just not type, the line that you need. But that's why I'm saying in this class, really any offensive tackle, any offensive lineman that we can get would be massive because we were kind of thin on those in the last couple of years, at least.
Yep, you're absolutely right. Do you have anything else on Tennessee recruiting wise?
It's magazine season, folks. So if you can, get your magazine, read all about it. It's got all the players in there, numbers, positions, you name it. They got anything you need about it. It's magazine season. I love this season. Into baseball. In the baseball season, we're about to get into tournament ball, which means the next sport up is foosball. So get your magazine, read all about it. Really excited about that. But no, I think it's really all I got on this side of things, brother.
Yeah, I do want to plug one more thing. I'm waiting on it to upload. We have not plugged our community here in a little bit, but the College Huddle, we are the official Tennessee member of the College Huddle. I'm gonna have to go over to the Twitter real quick to see about pulling up the website because it's having trouble pulling up when I search it. But as I mentioned, we are the official College Huddle member for Tennessee. We are now up to 73 members strong, as we have just added two more schools this past week, I believe, from Liberty as well as Jacksonville State.
Nice.
So we're working our way up.
Those would be Big Ten schools the way things are moving here soon.
Yeah, absolutely.
Might be ACC actually. I don't know, but the way things are moving, they'll be one of the Power 4, 3, 2.
So looks like the website's having a little bit of trouble right now, but if you get a chance, go follow the College Huddle on Twitter, on YouTube. I believe they do have Facebook now. I think we just started that as the College Huddle launched. I believe on TikTok as well. So
speaking of TikTok, I'm gonna do a plug if you don't mind.
Go for it.
Unless you have something else.
No, go for it.
I'm gonna do a plug for a fellow volunteer, a guy that's an extrovert, loves his Vols. Bearded Tennessee on TikTok. This guy is everywhere. He makes a lot more videos than I can on TikTok. But he's a big fan, very cool guy. Met him at one of the baseball games, and it was kind of weird because we were going in the bathroom. I was like, "Yo, Bearded Tennessee," and I was like, "Can I get a picture after we're done with the bathroom?" Because I don't want to ask you. Just thought it was kind of weird to ask for a picture going to the bathroom with the guy. And by the way, this dude's like 6'4", and I'm 5'7". So if y'all want a picture of that. But anyways, very cool guy. He's actually thinking about starting a podcast. So if you guys would go show him some love on the TikTok, get to follow him. I'm going to see if he's willing to come on our podcast, maybe try to help him get his name out there. Definitely want to support him. Some folks be like, "Oh, it's a Tennessee podcast. Do you not want?" No, I don't care, dude. Anything we can do to get our school out there. I'm not in this for me. I'm in this because I love Tennessee. So by all means, if anybody wants to start a podcast, I'm all for it. I'm going to support the crap out of it. So I'll get to talking with him. We'll try to bring him on the show. Hopefully let him talk about it. But in the meantime, at Bearded Tennessee, y'all go to TikTok, give him a follow. He's a really cool guy.
Yeah, and we might hopefully be able to do a little bit of TikTok stuff as well, maybe like TikTok Live, because that was originally when Skylar and I started this podcast. We wanted to kind of start doing some TikTok Live type stuff, but due to TikTok's guidelines with followers, you had to have a minimum of 1,000 followers to do it. Skylar was able to. I was not able to, and under those guidelines, will still not be able to go live on TikTok. I get a notification this past week that if you verify your age, confirm you're 18 and up, you can go live on there. So they have changed some of the guidelines. Skylar and I might be able to do some TikTok live stuff too to try to help get the podcast out there a little bit more. So stay tuned for that as well.
Heck yeah, excited about it, man. Got some things going. Look, we're in the summer. I know you're like, man, y'all are not going at 2 o'clock anymore. Well, guys, my wife's finally out of school. So we're able to enjoy the weekends a little bit. So yeah, we're going a little bit later than normal, but hopefully you guys are okay with that. It's helped us out. We're able to, go have a fun weekend and come back ready for work the next day. I know this is Memorial Day weekend, so we didn't have quite the viewership that we normally have, but we definitely want to get some content out as Tennessee is your 2024 SEC tournament and regular season baseball champions. So we definitely wanted to make a show about that. Lady Vols are battling, but man, they got an uphill battle in the bottom of the fifth. Now they're still down 0-4. But we'll keep you guys updated. We'll be back here next week. And as always, we love talking Vols.
Yeah, we are probably going to go later. So kind of giving you an outlook going forward, especially with baseball and softball still going. A lot of times they play midday on Sundays. We like to watch those games, and we don't want to be live trying to, look over like I am right now.
I hate this. I hate trying to watch the game and being live. Yeah, I hate it.
Yeah, so we are probably going to be going later on Sundays. We will try to keep you updated as soon as we can to let you guys know about the times, but we're going to be going later in the day throughout the summer and get back on our normal schedule closer to football season. But
right.
But yeah, so plan on next Sunday being a little bit later, as well as I am leaving out tomorrow to go to the beach. Going to enjoy a little vacation. But guys, the SEC runs through Knoxville.
Always. Go Big Orange.
Yep.
I'm a
ball for life, y'all. I bleed orange and white, y'all. I will till I die, y'all. I'm a ball for life, yeah. Raised up on John Ward, giving 6 in the checkerboard till I'm gone. Go Big Orange.